wingers.
Jim Joyce.
What?
I've always wanted to do this.
Right. I mean, who doesn't want to greet Jim Joyce on a Wednesday?
It seems like it's so much fun, like he just always yells at every Wednesday, and
you can. The better half has proved themselves. He's a much more elegant Jim Joyce.
I'm confused and speechless, right? Like you're my true. Confused and speechless. That's me. That's a good description.
Well, confused, yes. Speechless, not so often.
Right. Okay. So so I'm kind of I'm half in the loop here. This is a fantastic opportunity.
We're meticulously unproduced, right? So this is amazing to have my best half, as I always say, with us and doing the Jim Joyce. So
how many years ago? How many years ago, Marina, since you were on the shot at Digital Health? Is that
it was season 1. It was about 780 episodes ago. It's been a long time.
This one is also going to break us a bit, Jim, because, we say it's every Wednesday. And yes, we're recording this Wednesday, but we will be posting it tomorrow. So people will wake up to the shot on Thursday. But,
right. Just like they say it's happy hour somewhere. It's Wednesday somewhere, right? When we post it,
it will be Wednesday somewhere.
Yeah,
but honestly, I was getting a little bit of FOMO. I am a real CEO running a real company, and in 780 episodes, I have not been on. So not fair, and no better Wednesday than today.
Ooh.
But
yeah.
What's going on?
So
what's going on?
Let's let our guest in, and we'll kind of follow our.
Yep.
So Ofer and I met years ago. I don't think, Jim, you've met Ofer, but let's see when he comes on. Okay.
His reputation precedes him in the digital health ecosphere.
Yeah. All right. He can
live up to it.
I know. We got the voice.
As he's.
Hello there.
Hey. Ofer, welcome to the shot.
Thank you, Jim. I'm seeing honor guest Marina. Good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you.
What do you mean? You're the guest.
Welcome to the shot.
I don't know. I'm like excited to see Marina here.
I'm excited to see you. I see photos all the time, so I'm really excited to see you, Ofer.
Great.
Right.
All right.
Welcome to our therapy session. Welcome to our weekly therapy session.
That's good. Good to be here. Jim, I can't believe we haven't met before, but great to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
As you were coming in, Ofer, Jim was saying that your good reputation precedes you as you were entering in. And what I realized is no one in this quadrant is actually excited to see me. So I'm just going to hide myself. Jim was excited to see Marina, and you're excited to see Marina.
I've been excited to see you for 25 years. I'm still excited to see you.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So, Ofer, for the millions of listeners and viewers, take us through your entrepreneurial journey. How did you get into healthcare? Where did you start? You were probably
how do you achieve such exalted status of making the shot at Digital Health on a Wednesday? What brought you to this final moment?
Wait, do you guys want to introduce Ofer first? You kind of said Ofer.
He gets to introduce himself. We're going to give it to him. And Ofer, we already said it, by the way, that we're recording this on a Wednesday. This is breaking everything for Jim and I. It's screwing our 100+ episodes. But we're going to everybody's going to see this tomorrow on Thursday. So with that, Ofer, introduce yourself and we'll interject as always.
Yeah, great. So again, thanks to be here in this afternoon after lunch for those of us on the East Coast. Although I'm always told never compete with lunch. So hopefully we make it interesting for people so they won't fall asleep. So yeah, in short, co-founder, president of now Twill, formerly Happify Health. We'll talk about that. I moved to the US from Israel 22 years ago, parked in New York, began my career in management consulting, strategy for a few years, then did venture capital for a few years, right? Classic post MBA out of school path, but very quickly I realized that I do not want to create deck, and I do not want to place bets. I want to be fully involved, accountable to what I'm creating. I had a passion to create. And so the vast majority of my entrepreneurial career I spent prior to Twill in the early 2000s, launched with my co-founder partner this company, Tomer, a casual game, first generation casual game solution, which we built, company named Over Media, then became iPlay.
What's a casual game? Because to me, all games are casual.
So that was the insight that we had back then. Back in those days, if you remember, the gaming industry was mostly comprised of testosterone-driven kind of gamers playing on Xbox, playing box games, and we had this insight that women like to play game, and not only they like to play game, they spend a hell of a lot of time, and they need this simple coffee break at night when they're done dealing with the kids. They want to kind of play games, and the games were incredibly simple mechanics, balloon swap, the Bejeweled-like, the Tetris-like. But this was a form of therapy, relaxation, mindless experience that if you design it correctly, you can create quite an addiction through those behavior change loops.
That wasn't, Eugene, that was largely your strategy in college for dating women? Casual
Wait,
dude, this is the episode you decide to bring this up, Jim? This is the time?
Sorry.
Yes. So anyway, long story short, we built a fairly large company in this space, pioneers in this space. We built both digital distribution platform, which very quickly reached about 60 million monthly uniques on the platform. We were playing games at that time. If you touched MSN games, Pogo games, Yahoo games, France Telecom, all of those large portals that post 2000 crash, had no monetization engines, you would likely touch our platform. And on that, we built games ourselves.
Question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you went into this because you hated decks. But honestly, how many decks did you build having a startup? Because this is the thing I hate the most, the deck building.
I can relate. You build too many decks, but I can tell you that the most important conversation and insights and partnerships that I've had over the years happened without any decks. It was just good conversation, and but you still need the decks. It's a working tool. So anyway, just short to get to where we are today. So
we got time, by the way, Ofer. We got time.
I want to get into the more interesting part. It's not me. True. Like it's not about my background. It's about healthcare and kind of interesting stuff. So anyway, built the company, grew it fairly quickly, and acquired a few companies to kind of build a full solution on the game platform across multi-screens. This was just to remind you before iPhone. So we were having the exciting moment to understand that there's a new device that's going to change everything. And long story short, through that experience in building games, we've become incredibly aware of how to optimize those behavior change loops and how to get people glued to their screens. It was only when my first child was born that I started asking myself, if I can get people to come 8 times a day to our game, is it really contributing anything meaningful, purposeful for humanity? It's a great way to make people feel entertained, but ultimately what we're doing, we're driving dopamine. So there was a sense that we could find something a little bit more purposeful with this expertise that we had. And I think over the years, people now understand how well those behavior change loop are optimized today with our digital engagement platforms. They simply drive designed addiction. And the insight that Tomer and I had is that if we can get to those level of engagement, there has to be a way to drive something and do something more interesting. And we started thinking about the idea that healthcare could be an interesting place. We all know that healthcare engagement is a problem. We engage too late, we engage too little. And really the thinking was, what if we could take what we've learned in gaming, tune it down, because you don't need the level of engagement, you don't need competitive nature when you come to healthcare. People don't compete on their health, and really kind of bring those principles of design, marry it with evidence-based science, and kind of build a healthcare company. To be completely honest, I had no idea what I'm getting myself into. I thought that I moved from the fastest moving industry, gaming industry. You kind of put software codes out every week, and every 3 months you have a new game. Those are the nature of the product that we created. But as we started seeing the idea of getting engagement, digital engagement, married with evidence-based science, it really sparked kind of interest that kind of suddenly hit all the things that you want. It's a big opportunity. It is very purposeful. It's challenging, and you can really drive impact, which at that time in my career I really started kind of paying more attention to. So long story short, launched Happify, which was an experiment in trying to bring digital engagement and marry it with evidence-based science. Always had a view that how people feel matters. We saw it in the gaming world. We saw the reason for why people are playing, why they're not playing. And I always had this view that if, people feel better, there's magic that can happen between their behaviors, their mental health, physical health. So that was the approach. But yeah, fast forward today, 200 people company, Series D plus, and really kind of trying to make an impact with the solution that we build and bring to market to patients. That's my background.
Awesome.
Ofer, maybe just back up, right? Because I think everybody knows you guys still at Happify, and we'll get into, kind of not just the new naming, but much more beyond it. Back us up, right? Because, lots of entrepreneurs in digital health space are watching this all the time, right? And I think there's lots of questions all the time as, do we go DTC? Do we go B2B? Do we go pharma? Do we go this? Maybe just actually be interesting, I think, for many entrepreneurs, kind of how you guys have been layering, started very much of a direct to consumer, right? I don't know how many downloads, but it's a user experience. So just take us through a little bit of the journey. And I think, we'll get to the current stage.
Yeah, I'm happy to at least share the journey that we had. I think there's a lot of learnings there. So yeah. We began our journey as direct to consumer, as consumer kind of centric design people and products. I strongly believe that if you don't have a meaningful amount of consumers touching your product, you just don't know if it's performing. That's my fundamental belief. And we went out and built a direct to consumer offering that was a wellness offering, bringing at first positive psychology, mindfulness, CBT, and really trying to go after the direct to consumer. We built an audience that had over 2.5 million users, and we kind of optimized the direct to consumer subscription services. We got up to 50,000 paying members that paid us, the $120 a year type of subscription. And at that moment, this was early 2017, when we were on the path to grow our direct to consumer business. Two events happened that kind of changed the course of the company. One, we started getting folks, large health plans approaching us and saying, we saw your direct to consumer solution. We really want to bring it into our audiences. Cigna was the first in early 2017, their innovation group saw what we did back then and say, we'd like to bring you into the enterprise market. And frankly, to be honest, when we began this journey, we had no clue how to go there. So we were complete direct to consumer people. and then kind of had to enterprise the entire solution. The second event was I had a meeting with who today is our chairman, Dr. Andy Sickel. He was at the time CEO of Optum Behavioral Health. And I had a meet and greet meeting with him for 50 minutes at JPM. It lasted 7 hours. We just dropped everything else and just talked for the night. And
any decks? No decks.
No decks whatsoever. It was in the Starbucks at the Intercontinental in SFO. I will never forget that meeting. Yeah. We connected really well, and Andy basically said, listen, I've waited for 20 years to see the company that has the level of engagement that you were able to show me and the clinical outcome. Most people have one or the other. But your business direct to consumer, if you want to grow a business here in the US, that's not really how consumers are used to paying for their healthcare. So direct to consumer would just be, you can build it, you can build nice companies, but that's not where the real pool opportunity given the consumer behavior. So in 2017, we enterprised the entire business, getting our platform to be HIPAA compliant, security, SOC 2, everything that needs to happen in order to enterprise and essentially be able to serve highly regulated organizations. So my only learning, I think, in kind of looking back, which I'm happy to share, is you should be spending time optimizing your product on consumers, and kind of, whether you spend time in seeing if you can extract money from them or not, that's kind of less important in my mind. You don't need to build 50,000 paying subscribers before you decide to enterprise. So my suggestion and our kind of learning was we probably could have shortened that period of time, because we really built 50,000 paying subscribers business before we decided to go enterprise. But the journey, and that's kind of, I think, what has been unique in our journey, always consumer centric, always kind of conscious of what drives value to consumers. If you do that, it doesn't matter if the consumer is, employee, member, patient, doesn't really matter. They're all at the end of the day end consumer. If you do that,
human beings, we're all humans, right? And
we're all humans.
I always tell our developers, when they're building, when we're developing something, like, if your grandma cannot use this platform, we've failed. Like, your grandma needs to be able to get in there and know how to do whatever she needs to do on here, right? So consumer first.
Yeah, so consumer first, bring the validation, demonstrate outcomes, start clinical trial early, because you will be asked to bring them. And when those are in your possession, you can kind of go on a faster path into the enterprise world, and then just decide which channel. But that is the learning. We probably spent, I would say, a couple of years that we could have kind of shortened the journey to where we are today. But I think, we gain a lot of experience there, and,
do you have any, like, when I would just think about you're setting that company up, you've got all the success inside the consumer space, like that would be outside success to what other digital health companies were doing at that stage. Like, no one had 50,000 paid users or 2 million interactions that I knew of, really. I mean, a few companies maybe, but how did you manage your investors? Because I'm sure some of the investors really liked that consumer side and just wanted you to lean into that, and they might not have come from the enterprise side. And then some enterprise health investors, like the one you had a 7-hour meeting with, or that kind of had that attitude. How did you manage, bipolar as they are sometimes with my own company, or how did you manage them?
So this was a very I vividly recall that board meeting when we came to our board, an investor that put the money on the direct-to-consumer thesis and saw growth. And we basically told them, hey, we have 2 data points that we'd like to discuss with you. One, we had a large national payer that approached us, and, they have millions of members, and we think this is a good channel to try and drive growth through. Second, we met this gentleman. He's very knowledgeable, and he thinks that our business is just in the direct-to-consumer is just less interesting. So this was an open conversation at the board. There were people that were like, we trust you guys. You obviously did your homework. You kind of are very thoughtful in how you conduct, and obviously trying to or deciding to shift away from 50,000 paying subscribers was not a light decision. We had
it must have been a pretty deck.
It was a pretty deck. It was relatively pretty deck. I did those decks back in the day, and I can tell you there were no pretty, no pretty. But ultimately, and that's kind of part of our journey, and what led us, I think, if we're looking at data and the data is convincing and the evidence out there, you have to be very, very flexible. You always need to be very rigid on your North Star and what's your vision, but flexible on the data and input and feedback that you get from the market. And this was a very, very important market feedback. So we processed it. We decided that we're going to go there and went and kind of began the journey to become an enterprise grade solution. Along the journey, we had even another step where we kind of in the same exact way where the large employers and payers approached us. We started getting approached by big pharma companies, different use case, more regulatory and more compliance that we need to comply. But it all evidence for being extreme conscious of what's the value that you ultimately deliver and what's the use case. So that's kind of the journey.
So let's fast forward. Again, there was to a certain extent, even I would call it an addiction to your name, Happify. Like it's just such a happy name. And I actually just realized I'm wearing a T-shirt that says "Don't hate, meditate." Right. So kind of how appropriate to a certain extent of where you guys started. But fast forward to today. I know you were on WTF and many others announcing the new name, but there's much more behind it.
Yeah, so in a sense, the rebrand that we've done is the formal outing of our real vision, true intention, and the platform that we've been working and building towards in the past 5 years, ever since we began the enterprise journey. We began the journey with a great name that we thought would be great for a consumer wellness app, Happify, and kind of that name kind of stuck with us. We, in many respects, were a company without a brand for almost 9 years. We had a name for consumer app, but no brand and no full explanation of what we actually do. But over the years, we've been building towards a vision to build a platform that ultimately weave together disparate parts of physical health, behavioral health, as well as kind of trying to untangle some of the complexities that exist in healthcare with them in a different systematic way, and then guide patients towards a better care. So that's what Twill is today. We are glad to be behind that rebrand. As you can imagine, massive undertaking to change every single pixel that comes from this company. But ultimately, we think that we had a long-term view that had to do with several aspects that now become kind of table stakes. One, medical and behavioral health are fully integrated. We are one system, one body, and historically, we're not getting the care that kind of holistic approach. This was always kind of something that we have had in mind, wanting to kind of not only address mental health indications, that's very important, massive problem, but we were very interested in seeing what happens aside from reducing depression, anxiety, and dealing with the indications to behaviors, and then looking at specific diseases that have a direct mechanism of action that is impacted by stress and anxiety. And you can think about autoimmune diseases. Almost every chronic condition has a component that has mental health that would impact your overall kind of outcomes, how you feel, how you kind of adhere to the clinical protocol. So that was one principle. The second principle, I've never believed in this world of point solution, point system, closed platform. I think that seeing the digital transformation happening and how it evolved in the first step, it was clear to us that system-wise, it isn't going to work. We're going to end up with too many siloed solutions, too many point solutions. data that essentially isn't owned by the consumer, but the patient. And that is kind of a problem that we thought long and hard on how we can solve, and how to design an open and configurable platform that allows us to design patient journey along services that we build, but more importantly, connect and integrate on an open API services to meet the patient needs through the channels and partnerships that we have. So for example, if we work with a large health plan or a large pharma or a large employer, it doesn't really matter. They have services that they have already and they're super happy about, and they're working for them. They have a ton of services that will just not performing, not working, people not using. How can we kind of weave this all into a cohesive experience that is patient experience focus, that is really kind of making the use of the engagement that we're able to generate on our platform, data that is kind of generated in near real time through those experiences. Ultimately, the first chapter of digital transformation led us to many isolated islands, and data locked between those experiences suggests that the patient doesn't get the best care that they need. The data doesn't translate into the insight and actions, and that's what we're trying to change with the way we architected Twill.
So you were always Twill.
We were always Twill. I was
just now it's official.
Just not official, yeah. I mean, it's funny because I was talking the other day to someone and said, you managed to fool many people for many years, and I was like, we weren't attempting to fool anyone. We were just trying to focus on what the vision that we had. It's a complex,
like a butterfly, it's coming out.
it's remember the artist formerly known as Prince, right? It's like the artist that's currently known as Twill. You guys are the artist of arts of intelligent healing, arts and science.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm screwing up your brand.
First of all, it's art and science for sure. A lot of science, much more science as you go into the more clinical territory that we're in right now. But really, kind of the approach was, and I think Eugene, you know us, we're heads down. Let's execute. Let's build. Let's demonstrate. And over time, and what led us eventually to rebrand is understanding that we're working too hard to explain people what we do.Ose who spend the time with us is evident by the partnership, the clients that we serve definitely get it and are very excited about it.
I mean, I always say where there's a Twill, there's a Tway.
That's going in the notes. That's going in the notes.
Sitting on that one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Is it a good one?
I'm just here for comic relief.
It's catchy. All right. Well, I'm eager to jump on one of the sequences, and we don't need to jump on a particular one in general. But I also want to kind of reveal why we screwed up our Wednesday, the shot, and why Marina is here taking over. I don't know. You guys offer Marina?
I
think you should talk about
it.
We vote for Marina.
I was going to give it to you, but I was just, I don't know. Was I promoted or demoted from host to guest? Like how does that
No,
work?
you're still a host. You're co-host. Once you say Jim Joyce in the beginning, you're a co-host.
Yeah, guest host. It's all limited. It's all very fluid. It's all very
non-committal.
I actually wanted to say the 4 squares on his screen look really good. I think it looks better than 3. So I think I'm just going to hang out every Wednesday with you guys. Just saying.
All right. Love it. We don't hang out enough.
Marina, I'm pretty sure the rating is going to be higher. I'm
100%.
No offense. I think the rating is going to be higher.
Yeah, no offense taken.
I'm super flattered. Let's see.
Every time I post anything on social media with Marina's picture, video, even mentioning, it's like, I'm just going to mention her every time. So
I think you just broke it. You just broke algorithms. That's it. So that's it.
All right.
It's not going to work.
Okay, bring it in.
Bring it in, boss.
So let's let the cat out of the bag. And we're super excited to unveil our partnership with Twill, the artist formerly known as Happify. So we're announcing that YourCoach will power up the live coaching component of duet coaching for Twill.
Wow.
Yeah, super exciting. I can give a little bit more background about this. So part of what we announced as part of Twill is obviously the concept of sequences, which are essentially a bespoke configuration of evidence-based solution that is comprised from multiple components. So it's our Twill Care, which is a care journey platform, digital therapeutics and coaching and third-party services. So one of the key principles of the sequences, knowing that we need the flexibility, the openness and configuration to integrate with the right services, is that we are able to integrate on an open configurable API, which means that we're really kind of trying to think through the patient journey and think about different modalities of care. We've been in the self-care kind of category forever. We think software can do a lot of the work, but not all of it. And as we start thinking about the stack of care configurable to the different partnerships, the different access points that we have to that set of sequences that we're building, we have been very lucky and excited to work with Marina and her team to bring YourCoach expertise and live coaching services onto the platform. One of the unique things that I'm excited about is that really is a deep user journey integration done on an API kind of approach. So that kind of demonstrate the capabilities of this platform as we go and have those conversations. And we're super excited about this. Maybe a side story, which kind of I thought about as we came here. So we started this conversation, and Marina, Eugene, and I think 2 years ago when they first started telling me about YourCoach and the exciting platform that
we didn't have a deck. We didn't have a deck. I remember that explicitly.
This was not a deck conversation.
No, there was no deck there, but it sounded interesting to me, and I was like, let me check with our team. You know, we have like clinical group and product group, and I came back and I told them we're not ready yet. We weren't ready because we knew that we're building that layer that would use for that sequence integration, but as soon as we were ready and Marina and Eugene kind of shared more about what they did, I was like so excited to bring them back into this conversation with our team and really kind of work through the API. So they're essentially the first API kind of partner on this platform. And what's unique about the way we kind of integrated that, we really created the unique intersection between live coaching and AI coaching, self-care. And this is something that we're very excited to bring to market, announce it today or tomorrow.
Technically tomorrow, people that are watching it tomorrow. Yeah.
It's today somewhere. It's today
somewhere between today and tomorrow. But yeah, this is super exciting. Our team is super excited. Our clients are super excited, and you know, they're really doing an amazing job with their coaching. They were put through incredible scrutiny by different clinical folks that looked at the qualification of their coaches, of what kind of clinical protocol are built on the platform, and I can't be more thrilled to be kind of announcing it with Marina here. It's really a fruit of a vision, a platform that we built, solutions and platform that they've built, and kind of, hey, we've got this API vision, let's go and implement.
And you couldn't have said it better. Consumer experience. And consumer, I just wanted to say, you know, your story is actually amazing, right? Because we did start this conversation about 2 years ago. And something that Eugene always says is people work with people. And we started this conversation 2 years ago, and we never stopped talking. Even when you said this is not right for us, we were still having conversations. We knew what you guys were up to, you knew what we were doing, and here we are today. And this relationship was never based on a deck. It was never based on anything like that. It was built on conversations and true understanding of what we need to bring to the end consumer, both of us. So I think
can I add another C?
Yeah.
Can I add another C? It's the conversations, but also competence, right? I think, we're not going to beat around the bush. We were put through some paces, and even from upstream customers as well. So it was a fun, exercise. But here to take it much further, right?
Yeah, no. I'm just saying that the conversation started it, right? Because so many companies, right? You're at these conferences and people come up to you and they look at your badge, they see where you're from, they see, who you represent, and that's where the conversation starts. And a lot of times that's where the conversation ends. But that's not what it's about. It's about working with people, and it's about seeing what you can do together, So, but yes, your team definitely put us through the ringer. Some of the customers put us through the ringer, but it was good. It was good for our team to understand what it's like, and it was good for us to show what we can do. So it was amazing, and we couldn't be more excited. Digital therapies are amazing, coaching is amazing, but when you put the two together, that's where the magic really happens.
So pressure makes diamonds. It sounds like pressure makes diamonds. I'm excited by participating in this announcement here today. But just maybe a little bit more, why now? Why DTX coaching now? What is it? What does that mean for consumers? What does it mean for customers? I know you touched on it a little bit, but I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, so part of kind of our overall strategy on the kind of platform is to drive deeper towards precision care, which ultimately means that if we understand the patient journey well, to the point where we understand where they are in the journey, what they need, what they will adhere to, because putting them in front of a modality of care that they're not going to adhere and engage with is a wasted resource, whether that human or software. That is the vision that we're pursuing. We have a pretty sophisticated machine learning algorithms that determine who is likely to benefit from what modality. So it's an automated algorithm that keep learning and optimizing essentially three main criteria. What's the clinical need? What is the likelihood to adhere? There are people that need support and just need to talk to someone, and it doesn't matter. I can put any piece of software in front of them, they're just not going to engage, and vice versa, by the way. And so we're looking at clinical needs, adherence prediction. We have very sophisticated patents that we were granted a couple of years ago. Again, deep platform work. And then the third thing is resource availability. What's available in that stack? So when we go with one partner, this could be a stack that is comprised of their own resources. When we go with another stack, this could be a different set of services. The flexibility to weave those services into a cohesive, coherent patient journey is what driving this. And our mission with Twill is really to drive towards a more connected and more precise healthcare, which I think is we've got as an industry a lot of work ahead of us to do. We do know that people tend to drop, tend to not adhere, tend to get siloed. We need to solve that. There's a systematic change, architectural change to really drive the vision of digital transformation. But what do I know? This is my view. Maybe the other will completely disagree.
I didn't miss anything, by the way. I was listening. Sorry, had to step away.
I think we all need somebody to lean on, and we need somebody to support us. And, we talk about this all the time, like the Your Coach logo, right? It's like the hiro, the Japanese symbol hiro, and it's a symbol for a person, like somebody to lean on. And we stand behind that. And I think that's why coaching is so important now. And that's why this partnership is so valuable now and so important, because that just brings an extra component. And what we love about Twill is that everything based on these methodologies, scientific methodologies, and that's the kind of coaching that we do. That's the kind of coaching that, you know, our coaches practice on a platform. Everything is backed by science methodologies. So I think that's why now, because that's how it all comes together, and it's just an extra level of support, if you will.
Awesome. Go to the final. We got it. We go there, Eugene.
I mean, listen, we can talk for hours, right? And kind of hang out, the four of us. I can break out the bottle and celebrate, but I think we'll probably do that in in person at some point. So Jim, your famous question.
For announcement.
Right. So picture yourself walking across the Intercontinental Starbucks bar in a number of years from now, and you hear an Israeli accent, and you hear a young person talking about having just built a fantastic casual gaming company, specifically targeting, I guess, stressed out women in some ways, and then is thinking of boldly pivoting into healthcare and selling into the enterprise. What advice would you give that young entrepreneur as they're stepping into that challenge?
That's a great question. So let's see. So there's maybe few things that I can think about. First, be patient, but drive a sense of urgency as a core value to how you operate. So it's kind of it's kind of oxymoron, right? Be patient, but have a sense of urgency. How do you balance those two? And I think that over time, you have to understand when is the time to be patient, and how to drive kind of sense of urgency. I've seen companies that have the sense of urgency and company that operates without it. I think there's go with the sense of urgency as a core value. The second one, which again comes from my personal experience, is be fanatic about the North Star and the clarity that you have to what is the new vision, the North Star that you're seeing. But you have to be extremely flexible and agile to modify, adjust, take feedback, listen, and that's the only thing that guarantees your product market fit. Any attempt to deviate from that, I think, is just doomed to fail. Maybe a few other things is always hire smarter people than you. I've done it very successfully, I think. They can lift your vision and kind of really kind of trust your ability to hire up.
I'm so happy Marina hired me.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that I did good.
But I'm not smarter than you.
So maybe two more things that I can think of. I'm coming from a consumer kind of orientation. I've come over the years to develop the point of view is there's two things that you need to take care of as you build your startup. Take care of your people, greatest assets. Take care of your consumers, of your clients. Everything else will sort out itself. Numbers, revenues, valuations, investments, exits. Everything will come if you kind of stay focused on taking care of the people that are working with you and taking care of the clients that you serve. And then the last one, which is kind of if you go to healthcare, be prepared to dedicate 10 years before you fully know that you're working on something that has a sustainable long-term value. And I maybe let's focus on sustainable long-term value, because we've seen companies and teams that kind of rose like rising stars and then kind of ended up kind of proving that there is no long-term value. But you got to be patient. It's a long journey with healthcare. It's complex. It's difficult. You've got to have many more pieces than just software or solution before you're ready for scale. So you better connect with your purpose on why you wake up and doing what you do, because 10 years is a long time.
I love it. Patience with a sense of urgency. Thank you. Lots of wisdom there. And congrats everyone on the screen for a fantastic announcement and a fantastic bold pivot to Twill.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Take care. And for all the listeners and viewers, subscribe, pass it on, and we will see you next Wednesday.